They say cheating destroys families, but they never tell you how it can destroy more than one. In the early 2000s, I discovered my wife's betrayal. But instead of screaming, instead of throwing things, I quietly planned a move that would leave her lover without a wife, without a home, without a job, and eventually, behind bars. And the best part? He never saw it coming. Chapter 1. The uneasy silence. The early 2000s were a strange, slow burn kind of time. My wife and I had been married for years, raising two little kids, 4 and 6 years old. Life wasn't glamorous, but I thought it was steady. Until the small things started to gnaw at me. Our kids would come home chattering about spending whole days at her parents' place, which was fine, except her parents lived an hour and a half away. And this wasn't just once in a while. It was 2, sometimes 3 times a week. That's basically every day she wasn't at her part-time job. When I asked her about it, she brushed it off. But here's the thing. She's never been a good liar. Her eyes would dart. Her voice would tighten just a little. That's when the suspicion rooted itself in my gut. And once it's there, it grows. Chapter 2. The mileage trap. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted proof. So I started tracking her car's mileage. Each week, the numbers told the same story. An extra 400 miles driven. That's not an accident. That's a routine. I knew something was happening, but knowing and proving are two very different things. Then, fate handed me the key. Literally. One day, I sat at the family computer and noticed a yellow, sticky note sitting by the keyboard. Her AOL password, in plain sight. I stared at it for a long moment. My heart was pounding, my hands sweating. This was a line you don't uncross, but I needed the truth. I logged in. Chapter 3. The emails. There they were. Emails between her and her college best friend. Casual, catty, and then the gut punch. They talked openly about how she was regularly seeing an ex-boyfriend from high school. She mocked his wife for getting fat after having kids. There was no remorse, no hesitation, just cruelty. I printed every single email, slid them into a folder, and put the folder somewhere she'd never find it. But I wasn't satisfied. I needed the details. Dates, locations, proof that would burn away any doubt. Chapter 4. Calling in the professionals. I had a friend in law enforcement. I called him. He recommended a retired cop turned private investigator named Ron. Ron was old school, sharp eyes, no wasted words. I handed him the emails, the mileage logs, everything. Within days, Ron had it mapped out. She'd drop the kids with her parents, meet the guy for lunch, check into a dingy motel for a few hours, pick the kids up, come home like nothing happened. Seeing it laid out in black and white, the pit in my stomach turned to steel. Chapter 5. Learning about Bob. I told Ron I wanted to know everything about this guy. Everything. Ron delivered. His name was Bob, married, 3 kids, vice president of sales at his father-in-law's company. Lived in a house owned by his wife's parents. It was all just perfect. Chapter 6. The divorce papers. I called my lawyer. Told him my boundaries. I grew up in a house shattered by cheating parents. I would not drag my kids through that hell. The lawyer drafted the divorce papers. I was calm, cold, waiting. But I also had one more request for Ron. I needed a second set of his report, and a meeting scheduled with Bob's wife. Chapter 7. 2 lives, 1 strike. The day came. At 11 a.m., my wife was at work when she was served with divorce papers. I wasn't there to see it. I didn't need to be. At 11:15 a.m., Ron was sitting across from Bob's wife in a quiet cafe. He laid the entire investigation out in front of her. Photos, times, emails, everything. I wasn't there for that either, but I heard she sat there in stunned silence, tears streaming down her face, and then she asked for copies. Chapter 8. The Fallout. My divorce was straightforward. The cheating didn't weigh much in court, but I got what I needed. Custody terms, assets divided fairly. But Bob's life imploded. His wife cleaned out their joint bank account, took the kids, moved back in with her parents. Her father, Bob's boss, fired him on the spot. No job, no home. And when he tried to argue, he was told to pack his things and leave. The divorce between Bob and his wife was brutal. Court battles, screaming matches. One fight got so bad, her brother stepped in and broke Bob's nose. Police were called. Restraining orders filed. Bob picked up criminal charges, spent time in jail, and eventually disappeared from the state entirely. Chapter 9. Aftermath and Peace. Bob's ex-wife did well, worked for her dad's company, took over when he retired. As for me, I kept things civil with my ex only for the kids. Now that they're grown, we don't speak. I don't hate her. She's simply because the truth is, the revenge wasn't about screaming or getting the last word. It was about precision, about making sure the people who tore my family apart paid for it in full. She thought she could play me. He thought he could use her without consequence. But in one afternoon, I ended their little fantasy and set fire to his entire life. That's the thing about betrayal. You never know when the person you've underestimated is quietly preparing your downfall. I don't wish them harm anymore. I don't need to. Life already handed them what they earned. And me? I walked away with my kids, my peace, and the knowledge that I handled it without ever raising my voice. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button. It helps way more than you think. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying case of karma you've ever seen play out? For more true revenge stories just like this, make sure you're subscribed. You won't want to miss what's next.